Hey everyone, Karin and I have been talking a little further about the series on the life of Peter, and in particular we've been talking about some of our church issues that we have. We haven't made any secret of the fact that we both have some history of baggage related to being in church, being part of the professional church worker culture, all kinds of things, and lots of people at New Day have different church baggage related to things, hurts they've experienced, and things like that. But as we were talking, Karin saw some connection with that, with this series that felt worth offering because it might be helpful to other people who are experiencing that as well. So. Where do you want to start with that?
Well, I think part of it was the expectation that now that we're not going to church, that it would be a time where church
break.
issues, it would be a break, right? Like, I think I was in my early 20s when I started having a physical reaction of feeling sick when we would drive by our church. And I wasn't even aware of what was going on, except that I was being informed that I had some stuff that I needed to work on and needed healing. And man, if you've got church issues, I'm so sorry. It is heavy. It's painful. And
it takes a long time.
And it takes a long time, and it takes a lot of talking. And because we're built for community, and I mean we talk all the time, like why did God pick the church? It's a terrible idea, and also when it's good, it's beautiful. And
when you can't have it,
when you can't have it, then you remember.
Yeah.
So anyway, my expectation was that these old church issues that I have that felt like I was in recovery from for a long time, and God has healed us up so much from so many things. I expected that it would be a break from that. And that's the funny thing about church issues is that we are the church.
Right.
And God is so good that when we have an area that still needs healing up, He'll keep working on it.
Yeah.
Whether we're going to church or not.
Right.
And so I was surprised during this break time that my church issues would bubble up and feel really fresh again. So, and I just want to say about church issues, like, it can be a wound, but it also can be the state of the United States right now that has become so politicized and polarized in the way that we talk about religion and church. It's complex, and so it doesn't even have to be a specific wound, but kind of a vague and yet pervasive fog of all what is happening with the church. So anyway, as Jeff was preaching through that awesome series on Peter, I thought of that little end piece in John 21 where Jesus is reinstating Peter after he had betrayed Christ brutally, after he had been prideful and saying, "I'll never deny you." And here he is restored, and Jesus looks at him after that restoration and he says, "Follow me." And the very next sentence in verse 20 of John 21 says, Peter turned and saw the disciple whom Jesus loved, John, and said that he was following him. And he said, "What about him?" And I thought that is totally all of us. The intimacy of God's grace is difficult for us to hold on to for very long. And so we go, what about him? What about that church? What about that person who says they're a believer? What about that person who hurt that person? What about those people who say those people are out? And if those people are out, then I don't want to identify myself with the church. I will be out too. Right? Like, it's painful, deeply personal stuff. think we can all relate to Peter again that way. And I loved the response of Jesus. He eventually says, "What is that to you?" And I think that when he asks that question, "What is that to you?" he intends for us to answer it. If you find yourself in a space where you're going, "What about him? What about them?" Maybe this is a season where we're not going to church, where you can use this opportunity to answer the question, "What is that to you?" Last week I had an unexpected freshness of my church issues bubble up, and I had to go for a walk in the rain by myself for an hour and lament. And I told the Lord what it was to me. And basically I said, "I hate it. I hate these things," for about 20 minutes. And he's a good father who listens and doesn't get defensive. And I had space around it. Would you consider unhooking yourself from "What about him?" for long enough to answer the question, "What is that to you?" Because when you can pour out your lament, your hurt, your pain, your fears around it, and for me, I came back to the word hungry, not distrusting. And I got met by the word in a way that I was not expecting to. Why do we pray for things and then get surprised? It was so good and kind of the Lord, and he knew I needed to be angry. And anger is unwieldy for Christians. But you're invited to tell him all about your hurt and your fear. And then guess what? When he says, "Follow me," we're ready.
Yeah.
And we don't have to look and say, "What about him?" We can just go, "I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what they're going to do, but I'm going to follow you." So that's what I wanted to share.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I hope that's an encouragement to you as we're getting ready to go into Holy Week, that you could maybe spend some time and sit with that question, "What is that to you?" And then follow Christ into the glorious resurrection.
Yes.
That's it. Thanks.